here, okay? What do you want from us? How much more do you want from me? And we're back.
Hello, girls. We're back.
And we're back. We're back. And we're back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Cha-cha-cha.
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Taylor.
And Toya.
This is the Heaux Bag. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite streaming platform and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at _Heaux Bag. That's _HEAUXBAG. Keep up with our shenanigans. Bye.
And we're back. Hello.
So the title of this episode is called, it's very long, We Ain't Getting No Younger, Might As Well Do It, featuring the Landon Taylor.
Already.
I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself.
Well, first and foremost, ladies, let me just say, you both look wonderful, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate you,
So
bro.
people out in the audience, don't these ladies look wonderful? Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comment section. So first, thank you for just allowing me to be on your platform. This is dope. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. Just being able to have that voice and a platform for people just to have real conversation. That's dope. So again, my name is Landon Taylor. You can follow me at the Landon Taylor, both on Instagram and Twitter. And I guess you can say I am a reform hoe. Yeah. I tell it like it is. So
I'm glad you do. Thank you.
Here's the funny thing. So a lot of people
Just came in with a bang, huh?
Yeah, so a lot of people see my Instagram photo and I'm all nice and statured,
And then
but
when you
Them
talk
be the
to
ones.
I am the Landon Taylor.
yeah. But so I have that side, but then I also have the Jackson, Mississippi Landon. So just let me know. Both of them might come out at the same time, so don't judge.
So is the Jackson, Mississippi Landon the gentleman, the Southern hospitality? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's
Or-
LT.
Oh.
Yeah.
LT, we got LT today.
Yeah, you get a little bit of both. You get a little bit of Landon, you get a little bit of LT.
Okay. Got it.
You may hear right, or you may hear you understand.
Okay.
It's a little bit.
We'll just save a lot of the ignorance for after the 5-minute mark.
That's right. That's right.
We want to be able to put this on YouTube.
And I can't spit no more of my latte, y'all. I'm just like,
But seriously, first and foremost, husband first. Love my beautiful wife, Isis. We're going on our 6-year marriage.
Oh, congrats.
And thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is number 2, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I also have a book called The Other Side of Goodbye. So for those of you who may want to read it, it's at theothersideofgoodbye.com, who my lovely wife also designed the website. Shout out to her and her amazing talent.
love it.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Full time, I do change management. So I help people understand how to get things better and the people side of things. So I love helping people first and foremost. So that's what I love to do. And on the side, I love to write and love expression.
Which is how your Instagram and Twitter have gone so big because you write a lot of quotes and you put out that advice for people.
Yeah. And that came from experience. So
Oh, really?
it did.
So you're not like Justin LeBoy just copying people's Twitter and just reposting it.
The plagiarism is real.
No. So I don't know if y'all want me to get into that now, but I can.
That's
but-
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I originally said, this is my second marriage. So with that, after that whole thing happened, I was, in my drawers, eating beans out the can, watching Golden Girls. I was jacked up, man. I was jacked up. But I knew that I needed to not be in that situation forever, right? So I decided to get counseling. And the counselor said, hey, you need to find some way of expression that's not going and being in the streets, of course. So I decided to write.
Wait, so did you have your moment when you were in the streets? Like,
Yeah.
in between the can of beans, like you was just like, man, F this, I'm going out.
Like hurt.
I said, man, I played a saxophone. It's about to go down.
Oh my God.
Musicians are the worst.
Oh man, it can get there. But yeah, I mean, I had fun. I did have fun. But I kept it safe. So
You got no extra kids out there?
No extra kids.
Okay.
Working on that one. But yeah, no extra kids.
Well, let me tell you, they say the hormones are.
That's what I wasn't gonna do that because some people be like, well,
No, let me go.
Yeah, go and
Take
rub
it
that.
off.
Yeah, I need that. So pray for you, boy. But yeah, I had my little time, but I wanted to make sure that first I knew I wanted to be a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoyed that, right? Being able to be with a spouse and just seeing a woman happy. So I knew I wanted to eventually be that. So I just had to write it out, write my feelings, what went wrong, what went right. And it just helped me. So that's how it all
Do
began.
you think that little bit of time during your transitional period of 2 different marriages that you were in the streets helped a little bit? Or do you think it was just like,
So I'm a very reflective person, and I had to go back and think like what went wrong in the marriage, had my fun, and not saying that I was necessarily just wasting their time like that. I was going out to see what it was that I really wanted in a woman. So, when I found Isis, like, it was like, boom, that was it. We met. Yeah, like for real.
Yes.
Like
I love it.
we met November 23rd of like 2014. By August of 2015, I was looking for a ring. Like it happened.
You know.
When you know, you know. But that went with me being reflective.
Yeah.
Right. And by April 2016, we were married. So
That reminds me of Miguel and his wife. I guess how they separated. They both played in the streets for a little bit and they got right back together like, nah, this ain't it. Let me just... So they're back together now.
I think sometimes people think, I can find better or it's like something that fits me more. And then you go out there and everybody's looking for everybody's messed up or, everybody's on the BS. And it's just like, I had a good thing at home. So
I agree.
it's usually AstroTurf when you think the grass is greener.
Facts.
I said the same thing the other day.
Yeah.
It's not even real.
No.
Especially right now. But
It's surface level.
Everybody, especially everybody right now, like I think people are getting out of those, COVID relationships and they're just like, oh man, I'm going to find somebody who's on their shit. And then it's like, she's on her bullshit or he's on his bullshit. It's just really, it's tough out there. I was very fortunate to find the love of my life, honey.
Congratulations.
Well,
On the strength of you. So let's get into Twitter news real quick.
Okay.
So Toya got this.
okay, so Jumpman Jones, he is at Soul Train Co. Said the more accomplished she is, the more single she is. ...
What's your take on that?
I would love to have that unpacked more. And I know sometimes people take like a personal take at it. But the women that I know who are accomplished in real accomplishments, they are in relationships. So in many cases that I see, some women will throw that out there first and lead with that. And I think sometimes the mistake happens when women lead with that and it kind of throws men off, right? That would be like me coming to a dinner with you or with you to say, first thing I say that comes out of my mouth, so tell me about yourself. Well, shit, I make $150,000 plus. I drive 2 BMWs. One is electric, one is whatever. If I led with that, you'd be like, wait, what?
Right.
Right. So on the flip side of that, I think sometimes when women lead with that, it can kind of turn a man off. Like, that's not really what I'm looking for in a woman. Right. If I'm looking to build, that's great that you may have that accomplishments, but I need to know that you're able to nurture.
But what about those podcasts? Because there's a million of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're like, she ain't got nothing going for herself. She's just a no shade receptionist. This is what they said. She's just a receptionist. She just be outside. And so it's like, okay, I'm not that. Like, so how do you battle those conversations?
And I'm glad you absolutely used that example. So when we talk about like a business, everybody can't be the CEO. Everybody can't be the COO.
Facts.
There's a CEO, COO. In my case, my wife was the chief technology officer. She built the website, right? So when talking about my brand, she had a box that she lived in and she was an expert in. That wasn't my box. So as a business, as a couple, that's what we ran in. So if you're a man putting that statement out, if she is a secretary, you may not be the most organized person, but there's a lot of validation to a woman who has organization who can help you make sure that you're not overspending on your budget, making sure that the person that you need to call back, you call back, because that could be the difference between $1 million. It could be $1 million deal that you just forget about. So, it's understanding that. An accomplishment doesn't necessarily mean that she has to have 15 degrees, right? An accomplishment could be that she is an expert in that one field and could have 1 degree.
I like that. I did say when I saw it on Twitter, I was like, that's so true. Cause I feel like a lot of women, we have to choose. We have that ticking time bomb, right? So it's like, you can only have kids at a certain age. you know, once you get to another age, like you start losing your prime and like men are looking for younger women. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I want to have these degrees. I want to get my PhD. I want to have achieved this level of success in my career. So it's like, how do I do that and that at the same time? And so by the time a man, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm finally ready. When a 40-year-old man says, okay, now I can settle down. A 40-year-old woman can't necessarily go to that same 40-year-old man and say, I'm ready to settle down. So when do you feel like a woman should be content, or how do you figure people should find each other? Like, how do you balance the two? It's
difficult. I was thinking about that on the car ride here. So I was thinking, man, it's actually in reverse, right? So I remember going to Texas Southern, and there was this,
the illustrious,
you know, the illustrious. And I remember walking down the Tightwalk, and I saw this beautiful young lady. She was strutting too. You know, this is early 2000s, right? So in my head was some T-Pain or something playing, you know, buy you a drink or something like that. And
did you leave with that line?
No,
I'm in my head. I'm like, please tell me you did not.
I'm painting the picture. So she was walking down the Tightwalk, and I was like, I'm going to talk to this girl. And it took a while for me to muster up enough courage, right? Because again, Mississippi boy, just shy like that at the time. Finally mustered up enough courage and went down to the Fannin flower shop. Oh. Right. And I didn't have any money, so I could only buy like one little rose or whatever. And the petals was falling off, but it was, you know, it was an effort. It was the effort. Okay. And finally got there to give her that flower. And up comes this dude in a 1995 Caprice with 28-inch rims. And I said, it's not my shot. I say that to say.
Oh, you was walking and he was driving?
Pulled right in front of me playing Petey Pablo.
Damn, bum, 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 you know
what I'm saying?
Freak elite.
But I say that to say, in many cases, so I'm gonna give both examples, right? So you gave the professional woman but in many cases, what I see is a lot of women making those choices early, sometimes with the wrong guy, and then they wake up and then they say, "Damn, I need a nice guy." So you have that side, but you also have the professional side for women who get everything they do. But I will say, when you have a woman who is professional, they do have a better shot, right? Because as long as they're not leading with that, they do have the option to build with a man. On the flip side, for the men, we may play a lot in our early age. I'm going to get the bad side. We may play a lot in our early age. We may have now 10 kids out there. It makes it difficult for us to find that professional woman who would be able to help us build. On the flip side of that is a person who was the old Landon, who wanted to be with this beautiful young lady, but she just wasn't ready. Now, fast forward to me in my 30s, if I were single, this young lady may have, you know, not so much of a good life, good background, and she may find it difficult now in her old age. So it is finding that balance of, okay, I got to make my decisions better as much as possible now, just in case I do find that one person. But it's difficult.
But that just in case is kind of effed up to me. It's like,
it is on both sides.
I don't want nobody else to have her. And it's like, am I doing her justice? Because what if later, and it's going to lead into my next topic, like what if later I decide me and Toya aren't equally yoked and I've just wasted 5 years of Toya's time. So like,
but Toya allowed you to do that. So.
Yeah,
that's true too. Yeah. But you didn't know, like, because he was saying everything he needed to say. You thought, you know, you were living it by the book. Y'all married, y'all got the house, y'all got the kids. And now it's like, okay, I'm content. But he never told you, or you never told her, like, hey, I want more. Like, this is who I've grown into. So like, how do you?
And I think that's a difficult conversation, like for both genders, because like you said, she allows it. And what I try to do, even with my own platform, a lot of guys say, man, you only talk about like for the women, but they don't understand. And I'm giving you guys the secret to how I communicate on the Instagram and Twitter, is that I want women to see like you don't deserve certain things, right? Because sometimes it takes you seeing that for yourself, right? It takes you saying, you're hearing from me, like, hey, you don't need to go through this, or you don't need to go through that, or this is the type of man you need. So when you see husband material or you see wife material, I'm talking to the men, you understand what it is that you want. So a lot of women they are okay with that. And sometimes that just goes with what they've seen. And the same thing with men. Sometimes we only go with what we saw, right? Because 64% in the Black communities are single Black mothers. So, you know, what we are seeing when we're raised is usually what we duplicate. So it just becomes
cycle.
tough. It's a cycle.
So I did see something else on Twitter, and the internet is such a crazy place because I read things and I'm like, wow, it's people that really think like this. This guy said, imagine you're a guy who wants kids. Do you go for the 26-year-old with an MBA and $200,000 in debt? Ooh. Or do you go for the 18-year-old with a high school diploma and no debt? It's really not a difficult decision. And his answer was the 18-year-old.
Who hasn't even lived life yet?
26, you haven't really lived life yet either. I think he was just talking about more.
Been 26.
So it came from a discussion of like, mind you, he's a podcaster. So it came from a discussion of a man talking about high value men and how they make their picks.
I hate that term, by the way.
Which I was going to ask you, I want to talk about that, but I was going to say kudos to you for not being Kevin Samuels. Because I like how you do talk to women, but you don't go, now do you think anybody wants your 2-kid having ass? No, man. I got $300,000 in debt worth of bullshit and baggage. No, I thank you for not being that.
Right, which you did a good justice by saying like, hey, don't lead into the conversation with that. It's versus him just screaming it like, why are you doing that? Don't no man want no. Okay, country bumpkin, we get it.
I learned very early on that communication is a recipient-driven activity.
Absolutely.
So you can have something beautiful to say. And I remember hearing the analogy of you can have the best filet mignon, but if you serve it on the trash can around garbage, nobody will want it. So I've learned to be a communicator like that.
That was a word for me.
Because,
you know, I being intentional and y'all just think I'm being rude.
No, it's how you package things. And, you know, a lot of people will argue with me on that because they would say, well, if it's the truth, you should just take it. Well, no, you want the person to actually hear it.
Absolutely.
You want the person who's listening to actually hear it and internalize it. So, yeah, communication, recipient-driven activity, and how you present that could be the difference. So,
sorry, I love that. Then back to you with what the podcaster said. What the fuck?
I don't know.
What do you think about that? Because you're the man,
right?
You're the one who.
And you say it was an MBA?
Yeah,
whatever. She's accomplished.
She's in debt because she went to school to better herself,
which is most Americans are. The thing about that is, an 18-year-old who has not lived life and may not have understanding. There are a few unicorns out there who are 18 that could do some great things, but in reality, which is most people at 18, they don't have what it is you need if you're looking to build something. They haven't gone through life, because I know 18-year-olds right now, they just want the fast money. But the 26-year-old with an MBA, again, we talk about value and what they can bring. There's education there, right? So that $200,000 could be unpacked easily if you guys decide to build a business together.
Right.
So,
and that makes me think too, when it's like how you say the men that are out in the streets and they're 45 and they're like, I'm looking for my queen, but just not right now. But then they go and they purposely look for the people that they can manipulate.
Oh, absolutely.
Which are 20, 22, 23. And it's like, what can y'all possibly have in common when y'all sit down and talk?
That's the thing. And this is only me speaking from my experience of being in the streets, being younger in my early 20s. You know, the 40-year-olds got money, so they gonna spend.
Right.
They want you to shut up. They want you to nod your head when they talk to you. They want you to just go, oh yeah, he's amazing, and then like they can showcase you. It's not. I don't think they're looking for a true partnership. Like it's.
But then some of them do though.
But listen,
these entertainers and they do marry these.
Jay-Z and Beyonce.
So y'all remember the example I gave you about the young lady at TSU that I thought was amazing?
Yes.
So what happens? That goes back into the difficult balance, right? So think about me as young 18. 19, 20-year-old Landon. I had nothing to give to the young lady. And who was she dating? She was dating a guy with bumping to Petey Pablo who was older, right? So fast forward to me now, right? It's kind of psychological because we do things in reverse. Women, when you're younger, you have a lot of options because you're young, you're free, you're vibrant, right? Your body's tight as the tightest it's going to ever be when you're younger and 18. And then on the flip side, when you're older, it begins to narrow. That window begins to narrow.
Yeah.
And your choices begin to narrow.
Ooh-wee.
For men, it's when we're younger, we don't have anything to really offer a woman. So our options aren't that great.
Like you and that little Rose, get your broke ass out of here.
Exactly. Right. But now that I'm in my, mid late 30s, I have options now. Cause this little young tenderoni,
right.
I mean,
you can go either way. You can go down or up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is like, what kind of man is this? Right. So if it's a man that really wants to build, I would advise not to go 18 because that is a disaster. Maybe 26. That would be my bet. The 26-year-old with the MBA, because it's experience, but it's also accomplishment as well.
But even then, you're thinking at 26, you're just finishing up your degree. You still don't know if you're going to use this degree. You don't know.
You ain't lying.
Like, because some people stayed in school, and this is not to talk about anybody who's like very educated. Some people stay in school because they didn't know what they wanted to do.
They're a professional student.
Yeah, so it's like you still don't know what you're getting. You know somebody who's been trained professionally and has a certification behind it, but you don't know if they're going to be like, because I see this a lot, right? I see a lot of women, I'm just not the she-man. I'm not hating on women. I see a lot of women get their MDs, their JDs, their PhDs, and then they meet somebody who has their JD, their MD, their PhD, and then they go, "Whew, I just want to have kids and not work not work no more."
I know women like that.
They use it
to attract them,
to draw men in. So it's like looking at a piece of paper doesn't really mean anything.
There was a white lady that said, I forget what platform it was, but she said her mother groomed her and told her to stick around by the law school, stick around by this or whatever, eat your lunch there,
that's how they do.
Continue school just so you can draw that man in and then you can become a housewife.
But that's how they are raised, though.
Yeah.
That is how they are raised. They are raised to be very strategic. And I will say that our women should do the same thing. Not necessarily.
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Not necessarily sit by the, the law
Kudos to you,
school.
girl.
However,
Go to the engineering program.
However, that is a part of their culture.
Yeah.
That is a part of their culture. So
they can't even, from what I know, you can't even marry like without your parents' approval. Like
No.
you're supposed to give your daughter away.
That's
Who
right.
wants to give their daughter away to a bum?
That's right.
Who can't potentially take care of their child? Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what marriage is supposed to be.
Exactly.
So that leads to my question. Can you be with somebody for love and for business? Because what did Earn Your Leisure say? Marriage is a business transaction.
It absolutely is.
I'm going to learn to love. At this point.
But it's like you could love somebody and they may not be as accomplished as you need them to be, right? So you're just like kind of settling in that area. Or you could be with somebody who's going to take you to the top. But you don't, like Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos, I don't think they loved each other. They left each other. So it's like it was a business thing.
Or you could fall out of love. Everything's situational. And then what you think is accomplished may not be what the next woman thinks is accomplished, and so on and so forth, just like men.
Absolutely.
Kind of like what you were saying about somebody having an MBA versus them being a secretary.
It's potential there, right?
Yeah.
And I think initially when we have those relationships, when we first start out, we are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about the potential of the relationship. And over time, when you talk about courting, and I like that you guys use that term courting because we've gotten away from that.
Oh, absolutely.
We go directly into dating, which, dating is okay, but courtship is intentional,
and it's
which
funny
I love
because,
that.
Instagram will tell you that we're not dating. But even though y'all go out to eat, y'all have sex, y'all hang out at each other's house, you met the mama and the kids, what are you doing? Oh, we just talking.
I think from my personal experience, I can say we're just talking because I'm talking to multiple people.
Sure.
So what's the difference between talking and dating? I think dating is more exclusive.
I got dressed up and I went and I thought about you.
That doesn't mean you're dating if you went on one date.
It's a date. Like if you go on 2 dates, it's the plural. You dating. You're actively doing
You're
something.
dating.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But that's why, to your point, courting. Like when
Yeah.
you get serious,
Courting is
the
courting
next
is on
step
another
to
level.
me.
Yeah.
When you are exclusive.
Yeah, you're narrowing that thing down. You have potential. Like I could see you as somebody I could be with. Dating, dating is, okay, let me see what it is that I like, what I don't like. Because every season changes, right? So
Absolutely.
if I were to be single right now, dating would look very different than it did 6 years ago.
Don't do it.
No, I wouldn't do it. No. I'm good. I'm good where I am.
What y'all need for us to help y'all stay together?
Yeah, no, I'm good right now.
What Betty White said, you remember back in the day they used to cook and bring y'all together?
Yeah,
We gonna have a fish fry, okay?
Yeah.
If we ever hear y'all breaking
Oh,
up.
no, we good on that one. No, that woman saved my life. So
shout out to you, girl.
Yeah, I don't have enough thank yous in my life to give to her. So
I love
that's
it.
never
I
happened.
love. So do you feel like you didn't, I'm just going because you said that, do you feel like you didn't appreciate your first relationship as much as you appreciate this one? Because you speak so highly of her and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like what did you learn? Because you said you tweeted about like the things that you did wrong, but what did you learn from that? Like how did you become a better person?
So in the first relationship, I think it goes back to being with someone young who was not ready. Okay. Right. So
how old were you when you?
So I was 26 and she was maybe 21 at the time.
Okay, y'all were both young.
Yeah. Okay. So for her, she didn't have the opportunity to really, because we got together when she was around 18. So she really didn't have the opportunity to really know who she was.
That tweet then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understood that tweet. So I get how, you find a woman that's a young lady that's 18. By the time she's 26, she's a totally different person.
Right. And as you should be.
So, the first one was understanding you can't force a person to be ready for something they're not ready for. Even if you have the best intentions, you could be the perfect person. If they are not ready, you can't force them to be.
So do you think you tried to do that?
Absolutely. I was trying to check off boxes.
Okay.
And that was where I was, which, and I see a lot of both women and men do that. You try to check off boxes. Mm-hmm. And since we're in the social media world, that's what we're getting right now. You're just trying to make things look good. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was. It wasn't really a foundation. It was surface level.
Okay. So you learned to let people grow and be in their own space and just where do y'all fit? Because I know you said if someone was just a secretary, okay, they might be the most organized person and it helps you out where
Absolutely.
You're not. Okay, they pick up where you can't pick.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, really. Because what I lack, you should be able. And that brings me back to we have this conversation every week on the internet. What do you bring to the table?
Lord.
Right.
That's a perfect example of what you bring to the table. Where I lack, you should be bringing, and vice versa. That's pouring into a cup, literally.
So did you ask that question before and then you stopped asking that question after?
When?
Because I saw something on the internet. It was like a real man doesn't ask what you bring to the table. So did you ask that with your first situation, and then now you're like, you know what? I love who you are. What can I bring to you? Or how did you shift your thinking? Or did you ever think like that?
I never really thought like that. At 26, I definitely didn't think like that. That took growth. Mm-hmm. And then when I got with ISIS, it was, I kind of peeped what she was doing online, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw the books that she was reading. So for you young ladies, we do look at what it is that you're posting.
Well, damn, I hope my bae know that I'm just not a good reader.
No, but for real.
She can read, y'all. She just doesn't like to read out loud.
I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah. Hey, shout out
However
to you.
you get your
Come
education,
on,
girl.
But no, it was funny because the reason I hopped in her DMs, she was reading 5 love languages.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is somebody who has the same thoughts as me. So the first DM I sent to her was, hey, I'm also reading this book. I have a few other books that you might want to read.
It?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Niggas just be saying
No.
You ain't lying.
I told you I was in my damn draws, and they were holy draws too, and I'm not talking about church.
Oh my God.
I was jacked up, man. So I was reading, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And it was understanding her mindset, even through that just one little picture. Because this is early on, 2015, so the picture's all fuzzy and shit. So it was looking at that picture and saying, okay, this is somebody I could potentially build with, right? Because if we have the same understanding of life and values, we can make anything work. Make anything work.
That's true. That is so true. I think I was thinking about you're dating multiple people, right? Mm-hmm. You got the one that's super fun. You got the one that's just super attractive. Then you got the one that you mentally, y'all might not do the same activities, but y'all mentally here. So y'all can probably come together later on and figure out what it is that you guys enjoy doing together. But the one that's super fun right now ain't gonna be fun when you don't want to have fun no more, right? So it's you have to pick and choose. So that makes sense. I've been trying to think about this as I was.
You are spot on. The most difficult balance in relationship is chemistry and compatibility.
I think that question, what do you bring to the table, comes back more so when it is a woman or man that leads with, oh yeah, well I got an MBA, I drive 3 cars, I got this, I got that. What do you bring to the table?
Right.
Peace. What else?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's when that question comes in, because it's okay, clearly we see it. I saw you pull up in the Benz. I saw this. I see the Rolex. What do you bring to the table? And I think so many people are so focused on their accomplishments, and that's what they lead with, that they lack anything else, because that's what they.
I think because the internet throws so much at us as a woman and even a man, what you're supposed to, as black people, what we're supposed to be. I don't feel like any other race goes through the "you're not good enough" conversation that we do. No. So it's how do you choose? Are you fine enough? Are you smart enough? Are you young enough? Are you funny enough. Like, it's so many things. We have to pick a category to say, this is what I bring to the table. Like an interview, right? You never know what your job, the hiring manager is looking for. So you kind of try to throw out the best thing based off what you saw on their LinkedIn profile. And it's like, I hope this is what sticks. If you're desperate, that's me.
Right. Well, I focus too much at work. That's one of my cons. And I always put work first. It's like, that's okay, all right, sure. And you're always late, too. Yeah. You forgot to tell me that one.
And ladies, that was by design. Which is why I appreciate this conversation, because black men and black women can have a true conversation and not be pitted against each other, which was the original design that they have. When
and
black
I feel like people are still doing that.
Still doing it.
Kevin Samuels.
Still doing it.
I like his, let me say this. I didn't like his content at first, and now it's like, when I listen to him, he's real with both people, but he's so rude, and I feel like he attacks black men and black women and puts them against each other.
Yeah.
And that's something I can't ever.
That's my only problem with him, period.
I will ever agree with him, because it's like, we need to come together. All that bullshit aside, like what your past happened, okay, like how can we come together?
He's not solution based.
That's smart.
It's just picking and picking and picking at the problem. Okay, we get it. She has 3 kids. Why did you call me to this platform? Just to tell me something I already knew? How do I get this high value man that you're talking about? I'm not going to get it. Great. Let me log off.
What is considered a high value? Because value is different for every single person.
Absolutely.
That right there.
Every single person. So I that's why I say I always hate that term, because a high value woman meant something totally different again at 26 than it does now. Right? When an accomplishment in degrees meant nothing when I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. That degree couldn't do anything for me. So value at that point in that season in my life meant someone who could nurture me and love me for the season that I'm in. Right? And the same thing for a woman, right? It means nothing if your spouse or your significant other makes $1 million.
Facts.
But you're having a beautiful baby and he is shitty to you.
Facts. That is facts.
Like, that is not value to
Right.
you. What's valuable is making sure that he rubs your feet or gives you whatever you need to care for the child that he has.
Facts.
So I hate that term. I really do.
So what, because we are running up on time, so what advice would you give to young men instead of young women? Because I know a lot of times you are geared towards women. What advice would you give to young men that are like, oh, what does she bring to the table? And she's got to have this, that, and the third. As opposed to, like, I guess you just kind of gave. So what would be your whole tip? We do a whole tip at the end of every episode. And so what would be the last thing you would want to say on this show?
As a reformed hoe yourself.
Yeah. So I think the number one thing for both young men and young women is you can't be short-sighted. It's difficult to look at the future, but at the end of the day, you have to understand the decisions that you make right now absolutely have an influence on what happens tomorrow. So you can have fun, you can live your life, but if you understand that true happiness is not just in that moment you have now, but building something great with legacy, you have to make better decisions.
I love that.
You have to be reflective. You have to understand where you are. You have to have a business mindset, because if we want to have a level playing field, which as black people, we're beginning to have that right now, learn about investments. Learn about what a man wants, what a woman wants. And we're not just talking about little boys and little girls. So understand who you are, understand what it is that you're looking for, and invest in that.
I love that.
God damn, you took mine. Let me stop.
I just want to highlight what he said. We'll kind of bring it in. $1 million doesn't make you happy. Because at the end of the day, when you laying on that table, if I'm giving birth and that man ain't right there rubbing my feet, giving me ice chips and all that stuff, it was all for nothing.
Yep.
So I'm not, even though I do want you to have your own bag.
We're not saying that, you don't need to have money. We're saying, money ain't everything.
Top priority for happiness.
It's not.
Well, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate you coming on here. And then being authentic and not just...
being LT.
Because at first you start, I am the Landon Taylor. And I was like, oh, is he doing it? Is he doing it? And he didn't do it. And I was like, woo, okay.
Switch it up.
You brought out the man eating beans in his drawers. We appreciate it.
And you slid in them DMs. It's okay to do an internet hookup. I'm here for it.
As long as you're intentional, baby.
Yes.
Right. Be intentional.
All right. And on that note, do you have anything to say, Toya?
Bye.